Okay. Hello. That was so weird. It's like it'd be dumb to try to explain what happened because it was kind of a weird freak thing that just happened. But I am back. So if you're here, it's good to see you. I am working on my Lone Star strip quilting. So hopefully y'all can catch this new live stream. It should send a new notification. If your notifications are turned on, then it will send you a notification that I've gone live. So I'm just gonna say what's up in the chat. Hi, Sandy. Okay, awesome. So there are people who can see. Hello. Thank you for bearing with me, and I'm so sorry for that. I don't know exactly what happened with the technical difficulties, but that's, what I get for doing this solo without like an actual tech person behind the camera, making sure that things go smoothly. I don't think it had anything to do with YouTube though, because it was still like streaming. It was my streaming software that I was using. I heard a noise of something happening, and then my main camera and my quilting camera stopped working, and only my overhead was working. So that was weird. Anyways, so I'm just gonna check these really quick. So here's the main camera, here's the overhead camera, and here is the quilting camera. Okay, so anyways, jumping back in from where we left off last time, we were talking about what I like to order at Cafe Rio, which, yeah, a funny question. So anyways, if y'all have heard of Cafe Rio, it is one of my family's favorite restaurants, that's for sure. And I like to order the grilled steak tostada. But one thing to know about the tostada is that I also like to get extra rice and not a lot of beans. But that also means that it can kind of dry out a little bit. So I always ask for mild sauce because their sauce doesn't normally come on the tostada, but it is so good on the steak. So anyways, Heather, if you're still watching, whoops, I need to move that button so I don't keep accidentally clicking it. If you're still watching, the tostada is my favorite order. So when you come to Utah, let me know when you're in town and I can text you what's good at Cafe Rio. But I have a feeling you've been craving it since the last time you had it. So, okay, we're gonna do some more sewing here. So again, just to recap from what we did, what you may have seen from the last live stream, I'm doing a Lone Star Rainbow Ombre quilt. So right now I'm in the first phase of cutting out. I've cut out my fabric. Oh, really quickly, I'll do that again in this chat. So I had posted a link to the fabric that I'm using. Let me find it here and I will repost the link. So for anyone watching, whether you're watching the live stream of this or you are watching the replay, in the comment section, you'll see a link to Honest Fabric. And then also I'm going to put in a coupon code for 25% off. So if you want to grab the same fabric that I'm using here and make this quilt along with me, make sure you get it for 25% off. So, okay, let's go back to this. So I'm doing my strip piecing right now. So here are kind of like when you're making a Lone Star quilt, the general steps of doing that are you first need strips of fabric. Well, okay, actually there's multiple ways. You can make a Lone Star quilt scrappy style where you literally just cut out all of your diamonds, like each individual diamond, and then sew them together, arranged however you want. Or you can do strip piecing where you sew your strips together and then you cut out a set of 3 diamonds at a 45-degree angle. And then each of those sets of 3, you put them in a set of 3, so you have 9 diamonds that you sew together to make the total diamond block. So you'll see all of that during these live streams. I am itching to get these live streams, to get this quilt done, but I am trying really hard to only work on it during live streams so that you can see every step in the process. I don't want to like skip anything so that if you're following along with these videos, you will not get lost. You'll be able to see every step in the process. And if you want to, you can sew along with me. Now, you don't have to use this custom printed fabric in order to do this. What you would need is 4-inch wide strips that are about 104 inches long. So what you could do is buy the yardage and cut off of the length of your yardage. So you'd have to buy 3 yards worth to get 104 inches plus a little bit, right? 30, 60, 90, 108. Yeah, you'd get 108 inches and you only need 104 to get the same amount as me. Karen says, what ruler are you using? Brand and size, please. Okay, so the ruler I am using for this is Omni Grip is the brand, and the size is 8.5 inch by 24 inches. So that's what I use for pretty much all of my cutting. And then I also really, really love my Famore 60mm rotary cutter. So it's nice and big. It's like the bigger circle. But really, you can use any straight edge ruler that has a 45-degree marking on it, because that's when we're cutting our like strip sections. The most important thing is to make sure that we have an accurate 45-degree cut. So after I sew these together and we get them all pressed, I will show you on my ruler what markings specifically I look at to make sure that I am cutting things correctly. So you can kind of see while I'm stitching the color variation change, where we get the entire rainbow from this one panel, which is what's really convenient and nice about this panel, is when we do our Lone Star quilt, we're gonna get a really, really nice color variation, but we didn't have to pick out a bunch of different colors of fabric. So you can see, let me open it for you. And with this, so there's the purple, and then into blue, and then from blue to turquoise, from turquoise to green, from green to, you guessed it, yellow, and then from yellow to orange, orange to red. That's really actually super cool. And then red, finally back to pink again. Okay, so let's go to our overhead here. Now that we've got our dark and our medium sewn, now we're lining that up. Okay, and then I'm going to stagger this again to here. Karen says, thank you. Does it slip around on you? It can, but I have just tried to be really mindful and careful to hold it tight. I don't put any sort of like grip on the back of it, but the markings, the way that they design it, it has an okay enough grip on it that it's not something that I have to worry about too much. So, but some people will get like a handle, like it looks like an old phone handle for their cutting board. You can do that. I just put my hand down and I can shift and refocus if I need to. And you'll see that when we're actually cutting these apart. Okay, so now I've got my next one. And I've talked about this in previous live streams, but with this long strip piecing, I don't pin anything. I just get it lined up where I want it, and then I go to town. So you can see in my previous live stream, you can see the beginning of this project just from the first live stream that I did. Well, it's not the first live stream that I did. It was the giveaway. So I think the title of it is like Sit and Sew, Gab and Giveaway, Dish and De-Stash, something like that. Anyways, and it was one that I just did about a week ago. The other thing that's really nice about doing this quilt over live stream and doing it slow form is so that anyone who's following along, you can really scroll through the videos to find any area that you want to, you know, watch again or see deeper focus on. Oh, Norma says she always pins. That's awesome. That's really good. Like, I think that's great. I don't have the self-discipline to always pin. I like to just go for it. I mean, especially with straight strip piecing, there are definitely other areas that I would pin beforehand. But with strip piecing, where I know that the ends of these are going to be like salvaged anyways, I'm not as worried about how much how much slippage there might be from sewing them together. But also, one thing that's really nice about this fabric is that it is very anti-stretch. Like, it does not have a lot of stretch in it at all, which I really prefer. It almost feels like it's the way cotton would feel after you starch it and press it. This fabric kind of feels like that already. So I really like that it doesn't really slip and slide on me a lot, which makes it nice. Makes it easy for piecing with. Although I'm sure that when you take the time to piece it, or I mean pin it beforehand, you can sew your strip seams much quicker because everything is already lined up, where I'm having to stop and adjust things every 6 inches or so to keep them lined up. Okay, so I have strip set number 5 all done. I'm so excited to cut these. It's gonna be so fun. That looks awesome. And, oh, my fabric fell down. Hang on, let me grab it from behind my desk. Whoa. Again, flying solo. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. I have a lot to learn still about live streaming, i.e. like maybe don't knock over your tripod with your main camera. And now it's a little bit crooked. Oh, whatever. It'll be fine. Okay, so I have my final strip set here, and then we can get to the pressing of our fabric. Okay, so I'm gonna line these up again. I'm actually gonna do these a little bit smaller, so let me show you on the overhead. So most of them were about 3 inches apart. This one I'm just gonna do a little bit smaller and hope. I will be so sad, you guys, if when I go to cut out my strip sets and put them into sets of 3, if I'm short by like 1 strip set, I will be so sad. But whatever, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go for it. Thanks, Karen. that strip started. Okay, another thing I love about my Altair is that I have it set to stop in the needle down position, but then with the foot up, and that makes adjusting super duper easy without losing my spot. So I don't know what other sewing machines do that, but now I really prefer it anytime that I'm piecing, because it just makes readjusting. It's almost like there's just a little pin in there that I can use to readjust. And that's really nice. So notice that right here, like I'm trying to just be mindful to not let my fabrics slide apart, and I'm keeping them lined up. Karen says, my Juki does that with the presser foot. I figured out how to stop it and use my knee lift. Oh, that is awesome. A knee lift is really nice as well, especially like once you get the hang of using it, it can be really convenient. I know that my machine has a knee lift, but I don't personally use it very often, but that is awesome. Jukis, Jukis are known to be much more like industrial, powerful machines. And once upon a time, a long time ago, I had a job with an industrial sewing company that actually specialized in making like camera bags and camera equipment. Like, you know, those like beanbag weights that people would put on the bottom of tripods to stop tripods from tipping over. I learned how to make those. And with those machines, those were like the big industrial Juki machines, and we would use the knee lift on those because the fabric was like, the layers were so thick and heavy, and the fabric was super, super thick and durable that like I literally did not have the ability to like adjust things with my hand because I had to hold things in place while they were being sewn. And so that knee lift came in really, really handy. The company that I worked for is called Gura Gear. And yeah, it was a fun company. They let me bring my dog to work. At the time, I had a little like 5-pound Yorkie named Bodacious Gangster. And he would just sit on top of like the wheelie cart that had my like assembly sewing pieces on it. He would just sit up there and hang out. And then we would go for walks during my break and during my lunchtime. He was a cute little puppy. We bred him and got his son, another purebred Yorkie, and we named him Macho Gangster after his dad, Bodacious Gangster. And Macho was not nearly as good of a dog as Bodie. Like, I learned later that Bodie was not a typical Yorkie. Like, I just thought all Yorkies were awesome and fun. That is not the case. Bodie was like a very atypical Yorkie. And Macho was a very typical Yorkie. I learned later that Yorkies are statistically the #1 hardest breed to house train, like to potty train. Can you believe that? Speaking of, I would love to know if y'all have dogs. What breed of dog do you have? So yeah, when we had Bodhi, he was never house trained. Like he was never housebroken all the way. He would just like run and hide and go potty, and we would find it later. I don't know. And I knew a lot less about dog training than I do now. And so I think looking back, if I knew what I knew now about dog training, I probably could have trained him. But I didn't know. And I was also working with like an expert level dog breed in terms of being able to train them effectively. And I was not an expert level dog trainer. I feel like I'm a pretty good dog trainer now, but at the time it was really hard. So anyway, so we bred him and we got Macho. And the other big red flag that we didn't see was having 2 boy dogs that were not fixed, who were constantly like marking each other's territory. It was really, really rough. So anyways, we ended up getting Macho fixed. And then even after Bodhi passed away, I just could not, I could not get Macho potty trained. Like it was so hard. So I even called the breeder that I bred Bodhi with. I called them like the owner of the mom, that Macho's mom, who is also a purebred Yorkie. And I was like, what are you supposed to do for potty training? Like, I cannot get Macho potty trained. And she was like, oh, just get hardwood floors in your house. Just don't have any carpets. And I was like, be so for real right now. I am not switching out all of my carpet for hardwood floor for a dog. Like, I love dogs. I love dogs. Anyone who knows me knows how much I love dogs. But what? Crazy. Like, even the breeder was like, oh yeah, they don't like to go potty outside if they don't feel like it. And I was like, I can't do this. So then I had my first son, and when he was born, he was a phenomenal sleeper. Like, he started sleeping fully through the night at about 4.5 months. And even after he was sleeping through the night, Macho was still waking me up in the middle of the night to go potty. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't get woken up by a dog after being woken up by a baby for 4 months. And so anyways, long story short, we found him a new home that he is so happy. It was an older couple that already had 1 Yorkie and no kids. And they never left their Yorkie alone. Like, the only time they left her alone was to go play bingo. And even then they would get a babysitter for their Yorkie, for the dog. And so I knew that he was in like the best possible hands. They really wanted another Yorkie specifically. And so he went to go live with them and lived a very, very happy life. Like, for the following years, the lady who took him, every April to September, they would go on a road trip across the country in their motorhome and take both the dogs with them. And she would send me pictures of him, and she'd say like, here's Macho in Lake Michigan, and here's Macho in Nebraska, we're camping in Nebraska, and here's Macho up in Glacier National Park, or like wherever they were going, they brought him. So anyways, he ended up being much, much happier with them. And I had very strong opinions about rehoming a dog before that, but then I was like, I don't know. I couldn't do it anymore. It was really, really hard. But I only rehomed him because I knew that his new home was very well vetted. They knew about, like, they knew everything. I told them, like, I've been working on potty training with him, but he still struggles, and, you know, and they were like, that's okay, we love him, he's so cute. And anyways, so that's the story. I don't even remember now how I got onto that subject, but Karen says, I had a Cairn Terrier, I had an American Eskimo, I know I had, and I now have 2 rescue cats. Oh, that is sweet. That's awesome. Cairn Terriers are cute. My friend has a Cairn Terrier, and she's a cute little shuffly thing. She's kind of old now, but very sweet and chill. So that's awesome. An American Eskimo. Is that similar to a husky? Now I have a mini poodle, and she is like my dream dog. She is the best dog ever. I love her so much. And she's like the perfect size. She doesn't shed, which is nice. And I love grooming her and giving her like different haircuts, like poodle style haircuts. And she's really, really well potty trained. And she also is super well kennel trained. Like, she loves her kennel so much. And so that's really nice too. That makes a big difference, I think. Okay. All right, we have our 6 strip sets put together. Woohoo! Okay, so I was thinking about how I wanted to press these. And I'm going to press all of them to the darkest shade of their color. Okay, so see how we've got dark, medium, and light. I'm going to press the seams all to the dark side and just in the same direction. So let me move my ruler and my rotary cutter, and I have my ironing board here. We're going to get that out. And my trusty Oliso iron that I've only stubbed my toe on once. And that was today. Okay, let me plug this in. And let's hope that this strip, this power strip, is not gonna freak out with having so much stuff plugged into it. Okay. I got my cutting board from a booth at a quilt show in New Hampshire in like 2017. So in case you're gonna ask about it, it's from TNT Quilt Boards LLC. So tntquiltboards.com. I get asked that question a lot when people see my cutting table. It's nice because it also has the legs, so it's like a full-on table, not just like a flat board. tntcuttingboards.com. Hopefully that's the right. tntcuttingboards.com. Oh, it says can't find server. Maybe that's my problem. Kathy says all of mine have been rescued. Even my horse. Oh my gosh. Okay, tell me about your horse, because I am obsessed with horses. I started horseback riding at the beginning of June, and I'm obsessed with it. And I really want to get a horse someday, sooner rather than later. But yeah, tell me about your horse, Kathy. Karen says I have an 11-pound, 1.5-year-old Havanese poodle mix named Gracie, with one blue eye and one greenish brown eye. Cute. She's a bundle of energy and my constant companion with crazy hair like mine. Oh, that is so sweet. I love that so much. We have a few pets at our house. So we have our dog Lola. She's our mini poodle. And then we also have a corn snake named Pixel. And I love her so much. I got her almost 2 years ago. I'm also in this like snake phase. Like I'm in this like spiritual awakening symbology phase, and snakes have been a really big part of that for me. And so I got a corn snake, and she is so beautiful. She's like pink and orange and red and white. Just really, really beautiful color. And then it was kind of funny because I got Pixel, my corn snake, on Black Friday of 2024. And loved it. And like I talked to Andrew about it, and he was like, okay, if you want a snake, do you, but like that's not something I'm interested in, so don't ever ask me to like feed it or take care of it. And I was like, that's fine. And so I got her on Black Friday at Petco. And then the following April, there was a convention here in Utah called the Utah Reptile Expo. And so I was like, Andrew, let's go to the Reptile Expo and check it out and just like see fun stuff. And he's like, okay, I guess, like not interesting to me. Y'all, he came home with a crested gecko that he like fell in love with. It was actually really super cute. We just were like walking around the booths, and we went to this one of the booths had a bunch of crested geckos, and there was one that like was being passed around, like being held, like the floor model demo unit gecko. And I walked up to the guy, like the sales guy, the owner of the booth, and I just like put my hands out like this, and she jumped right into my hands. Like she just was like, hi. And then I turned towards Andrew, and he put his hands out, and she jumped into his hands, and then she just like crawled up on his shoulder and just sat on his shoulder. And she was like so chill and so happy. And so he was holding her for like probably a solid half hour. And then he was asking questions to the sales guy about geckos and like what their care looks like and what you have to do to make sure that they don't die. And then like at the like 45-minute mark of him holding her, there was a lady standing next to him that was like, are you going to buy her? And Andrew was like, maybe. And so she's like, well, can I hold her after you're done? And he was like, yeah, but I'm going to buy her. And she's like, okay, well, I just wanted to know, because if you weren't going to buy her, I was going to buy her. And so Andrew was like, you're coming home with me. And so he bought all the stuff and brought home a crested gecko. So his gecko, that's his gecko. But it was like the sweetest thing. He was just like, he's like, I can't believe this happened to me. I did not come to the Reptile Expo expecting to fall in love with this gecko. And so that was really sweet and cute. So he named her Echo the gecko. And she kind of has like similar coloring to the cliffs down at Lake Powell. And so he was like, I want to find like a name that like is meaningful, that reminds me of her. And Echo was just perfect. He thought Cliff might be a cute one because she has like on her side, she has like coloring that looks like cliff sides down in Lake Powell. And she's like that color of that red and orange and tan sandstone color. And so he was like, Cliff could be kind of fun, but Cliff is definitely a boy name and she's definitely a girl. And so then he was like, what about Echo? And I was like, Echo the gecko? Are you for real? That's the cutest thing ever. And he was like, Echo it is. So that was really cute. So we have a gecko and then a corn snake and then our dog. So hopefully I would love to add a horse. Kathy says, you will make a small fortune with a horse. You start with a large fortune and spend away. So we live in a fairly rural area, and our backyard neighbors, they have about 7 horses. And I was talking to her one day and we were talking about horses, and she was like, the only way to become a millionaire with horses is to start as a billionaire. So I thought that was funny, but horses are they're so beautiful and amazing and gorgeous and majestic and intuitive, and I don't know, they're just the coolest thing ever. So I've been taking horseback riding lessons, and y'all, it has literally changed my life in the best way possible. Like I feel like the opportunity to be able to start lessons came at the perfect time, and it has really transformed me and my mental health in such a positive and amazing way. So I love horses. Norma says, I love frogs. Oh, sorry. Kathy said, had my horse for 5 years and handed down to my granddaughter. Oh my gosh, that is the absolute sweetest thing. Norma says, I love frogs and any kind of reptiles, but when I saw an iguana eating my orchids, my green love ended. I bet those are fancy flowers that are not easy to grow and keep alive, right? I haven't ever grown orchids, but yeah, I would be mad at that too. Speaking of animals eating plants, it's so funny. One thing that I've learned about Lola recently is that she really loves peas from the vine, because I've been gardening this year and I've planted a few different pea varieties. And when I go out into my garden in the mornings, usually my kids are still asleep and Lola will come with me. And the last couple times that I've harvested peas, I've caught her like sneaking a pea pod from my like bowl which is funny because like I would share with her. She doesn't have to steal it, but like she just will sneak in and just grab one and then like turn away. And then I just hear like she's just chomping it up. It's so funny. So yeah, Lola loves peas and she loves green beans as well. I've grown green beans in previous years and she'll just pick them right off the vine. She'll just grab and she knows to like pull and it'll snap and then she'll just eat it. Hi, yeah, you can hear me talking about you? Hi. Yeah, this is a sweet girl. She just got a haircut. She had like a classic continental poodle cut. And then it was dyed like rainbow color. You can kind of still see some of the color in her hair because I didn't cut it all off. Like her, look at her foot. You can still see the color in her foot. But she was just getting so hot during the summer. And so I had to give her a haircut and cut it off, which was kind of sad. Okay, so let me show you on the overhead here. So I pressed towards the dark fabric. And when I press these, I kind of will smooth them out like this to press, but I'm not like yanking and pulling on it to get it flat. I am going to press it one direction and then I'm actually going to flip it over and then press it from the front as well. So I just want the seams to stay flat. And so I know I'm going, the seams need to go that direction. So as I adjust this, I can lay it out and then kind of pull it toward me. And then we're gonna do the same thing, press it here. So I'm kind of smoothing out this seam as I go so that it's nice and flat. Like I don't want it to, I can zoom in on this a little bit too, hang on. There we go. Okay, so I don't want the pressing to like accidentally be kind of like this. You know, sometimes when we're pressing, it's like not opened all the way. But I also don't want my straight line to start doing this from like pulling. So like if I start here and I yank this and I press, but then I do it like not consistently, then my seams are gonna start doing like a wave and I don't want that to happen, okay? So I'm just being gentle with my pressing. I know that there's like sometimes controversy, like there's some pattern designers and quilters or just, yeah. And there's different quilters who sometimes will say like you should never move your iron across the fabric, that pressing means this. And I don't know why my brain just hates that so much. Like it's just a lot more fluid for me and my brain, I don't know. So tell me, am I pressing wrong when I do this? Or is this the only appropriate way to actually press your seams? I get that if I had a seam that was like the same size as my iron, but where I have to cover this whole edge with pressing, like, I don't know why it just seems way more monotonous and time consuming to me to like go like this, right? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's not. Please tell me. Oh, there's a comment. I'm from Brazil and I love your work. Congratulations. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for watching from Brazil. That is incredible. Thank you for being here. That means a lot to me. Okay, I want to put a poll in here. Okay, I want to ask y'all. So I want to say with pressing, sliding is fine. Never slide, just set down. Just set down the iron. Okay, I'm gonna put this poll here and I wanna know what y'all think for pressing. Are you militant with your pressing and me doing this is like making you upset? Or if you were pressing these strips together, would you be doing it the same way that I'm doing it? I'm very curious to know. Okay, these seams look so pretty. Oh my gosh, and this rainbow fabric. I love everything rainbow, you guys. I want all my quilts to just be rainbow colored. They're so beautiful. So yeah, this is how I like to press. Kind of like upward and then backward. So I'm going like toward the seams and basically just preventing any sort of little overlap from happening here. But I'm doing my best to not like pull on the fabric, but just kind of flatten it out. Oh, see, okay, so even here, I can start to see from where I pressed it from the back side, there's like a little, okay, let me see if I can show this to you close. Do you see that? See how it's like, I pressed it and there's a seam not quite in the crease. So that's what I'm trying to be careful of. And I know that happens sometimes, obviously, at least it happens to me. So going back through and in a motion where I'm kind of pressing whatever fabric is on top, pressing it away is going to help along that edge of the iron to kind of smooth that out. Okay, so right here, this is the spot where I kind of accidentally pressed a crease. So I'm going to really spend some TLC on making sure that I don't press that seam. See, but if I had just gone straight down, I feel like that could have potentially happened. But this way, I'm like smoothing it out. It's almost like brushing hair. So, okay, so far in the poll, 80% of you are saying that sliding is fine. So that makes me happy. Okay, we're on the same wavelength. I didn't know if I was like really in the minority of sliding around and having like pressing purists scoffing at me from behind their screen. But I don't know. I feel like the iron is nice and smooth and it flows smoothly. Move this up a little bit. So Karen says, I press and iron it depends on if the seams are bias, of course, what I'm making. Okay, yes, I can understand that as well. Like sometimes pressing straight down, like literally dropping it straight down, I can understand that sometimes you might need that because you need a super duper precise pressing job, right? Like if you're trying to press something very specifically into place. That is interesting with the bias too, because that makes sense that if you're sliding your iron on fabric on the bias, I could understand how that could contribute to more stretch happening that you may not want to happen, that already kind of naturally happens on the bias. And with this particular quilt, with a Lone Star quilt, we will be sewing on the bias. Like literally the 45-degree bias in a minute. So, oh, okay, now it's 67% that says sliding is fine. So I'm very curious about that. Okay, so Deb says, just be careful to not push the fabric when sliding. Okay. It's kind of funny. I call myself a professional quilter, yet I could use some practice on technique with even just pressing my fabric, but that's okay. Okay, so this one's done. I'm gonna just let that slide off the edge of my desk and hang out on the floor and then grab my next one. So I'm gonna press from the back first to my dark side. See, like it is weird to me to think that I would not be allowed to slide my iron right here, because like if I just go down, like am I supposed to just do this and then like use my hands and like do that? It just seems, it almost seems sloppier to me. Whereas like with this, I need to make sure that when I actually press my seams to the side, my fabric is not going to have that like little bubble, right? I don't know. Maybe that's why it's still a debate, right? Because at the end of the day, no one can tell whether I slid it, except for me, when it becomes harder to piece, maybe because of the bias. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. Here's another great thing about live streaming. You get to really fully see that I'm just a human being. Like I'm just a person doing my best, despite popular opinion of me being a robot or a computer, like a pro stitcher cyborg with my free motion quilting. But I'm just kidding. Now I'm just being facetious. Okay, now 75% of you say sliding is fine. So I'm gonna take it. I'm just gonna take it and say that we're gonna say that sliding is fine. Okay, so Sue says, I think that so long as your fabric is not distorting, you are achieving your goal. Yes, I agree. Sandy says, pressing is up and down motion. Ironing is sliding motion. Do what you desire as long as the fabric isn't distorted. Okay, I can respect that. I can respect that what I'm doing right now is not pressing. It is ironing because I'm moving the iron. But yeah, so like I try really hard to not distort this. So see how I'm tugging up here? That's literally just tugging enough to make sure that when I choose the side that my seam needs to go on, it doesn't have an overlap on the top side. So I'm not like cranking this and pulling it super tight. I'm just giving it enough of a tug so that I know it'll lay flat when I press it. All right, I'm also reconsidering a tiny bit trying to do this whole quilt during live stream because I'm getting paranoid that y'all might be like, ironing is so boring. We don't need to see this. Why are you showing us this? Like you're probably just like, get to the fun part. Do this on your own time. Or at least that's how I would kind of be feeling. But okay, let me turn off that pull. Let's see, end pull. There we go. Sliding is fine. Poll complete with 8 votes. Thank you so much. Okay, Kathy, if you're still watching, will you tell me more about your horse? I feel like every time I meet someone who owns a horse, I'm like, I want to know everything about it. So I would love to hear about your horse. You know, when people are like, oh, these are my kids. Look at these photos. Look at these videos. And you're like, okay, I don't care to see photos or videos of your kid. I am the opposite with horses. You can show me all of the photos and videos and tell me all of their little quirks. What's their favorite treat? What's their favorite trick that they like to do? How long have you had them? How tall are they? What color are they? I need to know all the things. Yeah, that's definitely a bucket list thing for me, is to have a horse someday. Technically, the property that I live on, it's technically big enough that I could have a horse or maybe 2 horses. But honestly, it's probably really not big enough to, it wouldn't be inhumane, but like I wouldn't have a turnout place for them. It would just be like free range grass all the time, which I think is okay. But anyways, I don't know. I really want a horse. But the instructor that I go to go horseback riding, she only lives like 2 houses away from me. And I've been talking to her about getting a horse and what that would look like. And she said that we could come up with an arrangement where if I were to buy a horse that she agreed to and could sign off on, and it was a horse that she would be able to use in lessons for teaching horseback riding, like what she does with me, if she were able to use that horse for other riders as well, for her horseback riding lessons and her equine assisted counseling lessons, then I could board the horse at her house with her herd, and she would prorate the boarding price so that so it would be a little bit cheaper of a boarding price, which is cool. So that's kind of like my main goal, is work with her. Like when I was talking to her, I was like, if I find a horse that I want to buy, will you look at it? And she's like, please do not buy a horse without me looking first. So that's really nice too. It's like, you know, when you're buying a new car and you need someone who knows about cars to help you make sure that you're making a good investment. I am so appreciative that she's basically the same way with that. She's like, do not buy a horse without letting me look at it first and vet it and actually bring an actual equine vet to look at the horse. So anyways, that's like a whole thing, but I don't know, like it feels like I feel like I've always felt horses calling to me and something that I wanted to pursue, and that I've loved them since I was little, but there just was never the right timing until now. Like, I mean, a big part of it is like knowing that as an adult, when I can actually afford to go take horseback riding lessons, that was also the point in my life where I was having kids and I was not gonna go ride horses while I was pregnant. And so, you know, after spending the last 9 years being pregnant or nursing or planning to be pregnant again, it just, the timing was never made sense until now. My youngest is 3 years old and I know that I'm not going to get pregnant again. I'm not going to have any more kids, and I can actually afford to invest in myself through this particular opportunity. And so, I don't know, I just feel like the timing is perfect. And 2026 is the year of the horse, so that makes it extra cool. And there's so much beautiful symbolism behind horses, as well as mental health benefits, especially for women in their mid-30s, especially, or in addition to mental health benefits, but physical benefits of riding horses for women in their mid-30s who are losing bone density. And anyways, so I am just like over the moon to be on this horse journey, and it has been a really, really incredible experience so far. So it looks like Kathy must not be watching anymore, or else I probably would have heard her or seen her comment. But Kathy, if you're watching the replay, tell me about your horses. Oh, Leslie, hello. Leslie says, good morning from an Australian insomniac. Hello, Leslie, what time is it where you are? I'm curious to know. We are working on this Lone Star ombre rainbow quilt. I'm going to tilt my camera up just a teensy bit. There we go. Now you can see more of that. Okay, you guys, I know I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it more times later, but I'm so obsessed with this fabric. It's so beautiful. And I've made a couple of quilts with this method, with this, like with some sort of ombre custom printed fabric. And so I'm feeling very confident about this quilt because this isn't just my first time doing this blindly. And I cannot wait for you guys to see the layout and how this is going to come together, and the finished result is going to be so, so beautiful and easy and quick, because like basically the quilt is going to look like I had to pick out like 200 different shades of colors, because these are going to read as solids. Like when we cut this, it's going to be like that, a 4-inch strip. And see how between my hands, this looks like solid orange, but really anywhere in the fabric. I mean, there are some parts where it definitely does look a little more obvious ombre, but 4 inches I think was a good choice for this, because the ombre is going to be very, very, very subtle. And it's going to read more as solids with each of those diamonds. And it's just going to really look like solid colored fabric that we just were really meticulously setting up, you know, how those colors would lay out together and work together, when really I did all of that heavy lifting with the color work when I designed the fabric in Photoshop and chose the specific shades for the ombre, chose how much darker I wanted to go versus how much lighter I wanted to go. So Okay, so there's our second strip. We got 2 out of 6. Oh my gosh, Leslie, it's 4 a.m. Watching you iron is helping. Oh, good. Is it helping you sleep? I hope you're doing okay. Insomnia. I'm sorry that you're dealing with that, but I'm glad that, you know, I get to hang out with you and keep you company while you're watching. And I'm glad that this helps. If it helps you relax while you can't sleep. I haven't ever, well, I don't say ever, but I wonder, Leslie, with insomnia, is it something that kind of comes and goes, or is it something that when you have insomnia, you can basically count on it happening every night? I've had nights like that before, but never like persistently. So I wonder how persistent insomnia is. What I have had struggle with sleeping wise for a while now, especially when I was pregnant or nursing, is restless leg syndrome. And boy, is that painful. Like, it's like dull actual physical pain, but the mental pain is like torture when you just so badly want some sleep and can't for whatever reason. So, Leslie, I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you and hang out with you, even if it is 4 in the morning. We were having a little debate about, well, not even really a debate, just really me getting educated in the comments, talking about the difference between pressing and ironing. And so, yeah, it's kind of what you're catching up on. So again, remember, when I'm doing this, I'm not yanking this hard and pulling it to distort it. I want my seams to just maintain a perfectly straight line. So I'm just tugging this enough so that when my iron goes over the seams, it's just telling it which direction it needs to go. And then that way I'll be pulling from the opposite direction from the top when I press the top of this fabric, when I flip it over. I wonder if any of you would skip this step and just go straight to the front. Like, I wonder how much time I'm potentially wasting by starting at the back and then doing the front after, or what. I don't know. There's so much about piecing that I still need to learn, and things that happen just by experience, but I'm not nearly as experienced at piecing as I am at quilting. So we're learning together. Oh, Leslie says it happens every night for a week or so, and then normal sleeping for a couple of weeks. It's annoying because I have stuff to do and too tired to do it. Oh man, I'm sorry. That's got to be so rough. I'm sorry to hear that. So one thing I was thinking that is cool about live streaming a whole quilt from start to finish is it's timing me to see how long a quilt takes. Like, I feel like this is probably not like no quilters are strangers to when someone asks, how long did that take you to make? And so now I'll be able to say, oh, it took 12 hours, 14 minutes, and 36 seconds or whatever. Leslie says, on the upside, I get to hang out with you guys. Gotta love the internet. Yep, that's for sure. I'm glad that you're here. I was talking at the beginning of the previous live stream that I did before my software decided to just like give me the middle finger really quick, and I had to restart my computer. But I was talking about how in the future, my goal is to be more consistent with when I do live streams so that as many people as possible can watch. Like, I'm thinking, I bet that probably, okay, so I started this live stream at like 11:15, I think, maybe 11. And now it's almost 1 p.m. So if it's 4 a.m. in Australia, I wonder if I could catch those early birds in Australia, but maybe not this early, and maybe do a live stream at like 2 p.m. my time. Although that's not a super optimal time for me, just because when my kids go back to school, they'll start like getting out of school around 3. But yeah, anyways, my point is I plan to try to figure out a more consistent schedule. And maybe I should even do like a few different times of day, so that usually I can say like, okay, usually my Monday live stream has a lot of Europeans and Australians. And then my Thursday live stream is more Americans because it's different time zone. You know, like I could do like Thursday at 4 p.m. and Monday at 9 a.m. or something like that. So that people can either catch every other live stream or catch the replays of them. Oh gosh, look how beautiful this fabric is. I love it so much. It's so fun. So don't forget that you can get this panel from Honest Fabric. It's custom printed, and it has all the fabric that I think it has all the fabric that you'll need for a quilt. We will see at the end of this project if I end up having enough, so I can tell you for sure. However, if you order this fabric, be sure to use the code Karlee25 when you check out on honestfabric.com, and that'll give you 25% off any of the panels, including this one, that are from my collection on the website. So you can get 25% off your order. Kathy says, all right, I'm back. Quick trip to Boulder Mart for my handyman. Oh, awesome. Hi, Kathy. Okay, now that you're back, I don't know if you are watching the part that you missed, but I was telling everybody about how obsessed I am with horses, and I wanted to hear about your horse. So if you feel like telling me more about your horse, I would love that. I'm obsessed with horses. I want to know all the things. What do they look like? How old are they? How tall are they? What do they do for fun? What's their favorite snack? What is their quirk? Are they working or retired, or all the things? I love hearing about people's horses. Okay, I got, what was that? Is that the third one or the second one? I think that was the second one that we got done. Okay, now we're gonna start by pressing on the back side again. Excuse me, ironing, not pressing. Oh, Builder Mart. Quick trip to Builder Mart. I misread that. I said Boulder Mart. I don't even know what that is. You're probably like, what is Boulder Mart? Okay, another question that I had for y'all that I would love to know is, well, actually, never mind. Maybe I'll save that question for when I do a live stream that's scheduled. I was gonna ask, do you prefer live streams versus pre-recorded videos? I'm curious to know about that. But like I said, that's probably a better question for when lots of people are watching and they have like planned to watch the live stream. Okay, Kathy says she's retired now, but 14 hand chestnut, Morgan Arab mare, great trail horse. Oh, that's awesome. I love that so much. So the horses that I've been looking at when I shop around looking at horses are Arabians, because I would love to do long distance trail rides. Like I would love to backpack and camp on horseback, like where I do a trail in the mountains and then sleep overnight and then come back home the next day, or maybe even stay a couple of days. I think that would be so fun to go camping on horseback. And so with the research that I've been doing, I've been seeing that the best long distance horse breed is an Arabian or a Mustang. But also a Mustang, that kind of scares me to think about having a Mustang. But an Arabian would be really cool. So that's awesome. And 14 hands, so she's like barely bigger than pony, right? Because isn't a pony classified as anything 13 hands or smaller? And then, okay, so another thing that I've been seeing online on Instagram, when I started horseback riding, I started a separate Instagram account to like document my horse journey. It's called Karlee with a Horse. And so like my algorithm on Instagram for that particular Instagram account is all based on horses. And I've been seeing like, and I'm sure it's kind of a lifelong debate among horse people, is whether you prefer a gelding or a mare. And so, yeah, so that's cool too. And that's something I've been thinking about. Like if I were to buy a horse, would I want a gelding or would I want a mare? And I know there's differences, like geldings I think are more consistent, but mares are more loyal, and like once you do that bonding, they will, they'll like give you everything. They'll give you their all, where geldings might not do that, but they are more consistent. So Norma says, do you know the Paso Fino horses? Okay, not off the top of my head, but I'm gonna Google it really quick. Paso Fino horse. Okay. Okay, so that's a breed, yes. And unique gaits. Okay, so are they, I think the Paso Fino horses, are they the ones that have like a really smooth gait? Like they can walk where they basically are like they have their own like shock system so that it's not as bumpy. Kathy says, Morgan has the calm demeanor while Arabian is strong trail. Big enough for me, 5'4". Awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I wish that you guys could post photos in the comment section. I realize why that would be a bad idea in general on YouTube, if anyone can just watch a live stream and then anyone can just post their photos. But anyways, I would love to see pictures of your horse, Kathy. If you feel like tagging me on Instagram or even emailing me a photo, that would be fine. But yeah, that's cool. I would love to see them. Hello, Larry. It's good to see you. Larry Christensen popping on. What time is it where you're at? All right, let's get this flipped over. Now we will iron the front. So Larry, we finished piecing all of the strip sets for our Lone Star Rainbow Ombre quilt. And now I am just getting them pressed before we cut out our 45-degree diamonds. And I'm really excited about that part. It's kind of nerve-wracking, but I think in the past when I've made a quilt like this, my favorite part is cutting the 45-degree strips and then collating them together to create the diamonds. So let me show you with my samples what I mean. Let's see. So, okay, so these are the strip sets that we will be making. Let me grab, I think I have a singular, yes, okay. So this gives you an idea of what we're doing, but obviously we're just doing it at a little bit bigger scale. So we're gonna press our fabrics, and then when we cut them at a 45-degree angle, that's gonna give us these, right? So same idea, but we're gonna do 4 inches because these are 2.5-inch strips. And then we are gonna collate them together and then sew them together, and that's what's gonna give us those. So that's kind of where we're at in the process. We're pressing all of these, and then we're gonna lay them down and cut them at a 45-degree angle. And while we press, we are just going to enjoy this gorgeous ombre. Now I could starch this as well if I wanted to. I am not, but probably what I'll do is when I make each of the diamond sets, when I make each of these guys and I press them after sewing them together, that's probably when I will starch them. So, oh, and notice with this one, so when I made these, I pressed my seams toward the dark side, and then when I sewed each strip together, I also pressed towards the dark side, toward the dark side. So see how those kind of nest together really nicely? And I need to work on my points lining up there. Like this one, that one's really good. Oops, see that? But then some of them. So I don't have any idea yet how I'm gonna quilt this quilt after it's done being pieced. But if I want to do any sort of custom quilting or like stitch in the ditch work, then that is something I need to be super mindful about when I'm piecing these diamonds together, is doing my absolute very best to line up those corners so that if I wanted to stitch in the ditch, like right here, I would be able to, and it would be smooth. Okay, so like see like right there, if I stitch in the ditch right there, I'm gonna cut off the bottom of this diamond a little bit with my, not cut it off with scissors, but like my stitching is gonna cut into that because it doesn't line up perfectly. That one looks phenomenal. That one looks super, super good. So anyways, I do think that I want to interpretively quilt this. Like, I don't know, I think it'd be fun. I at least want to have the option to do it. I don't want to disqualify myself from the option of quilting it interpretively because the piecing is so bad, right? Like so misaligned in those points. So that's just something to be mindful of. Like, I want to finish this quilt and I want to have a finished quilt, but I also want it to be exactly how I want it. And so I don't want to eliminate opportunities from myself because I rushed so quickly through it that it got sloppy. Celeste says, the ironing may be best done in your own time and save highlights for more interesting parts of making the quilt for your YouTube live. I can respect that for sure. So another thing I was going to say about doing YouTube lives that I mean, up until literally this morning, another motivator for doing YouTube live streams was to reach my monetization goal of having 4,000 watch hours. And I reached it this morning, and I'm sure it was because of those previous live streams. Now, I'm not trying to say that like the live stream is going to be a waste of your time and that I like just want you to sit here and stream it for nothing, right? And I can understand this ironing section is kind of boring. So I get that. But yeah, I think in future projects, I could do like more step out based projects where I iron one of these on screen, but then I've already ironed the other 5 or whatever, you know. So I can respect what you're saying, Celeste. I agree. And I think another thing too is that I can do a better job of just being more communicating more efficiently about what exactly the live stream is going to be, so that when people show up, if they're bored, it's because they didn't realize what type of live stream it was, right? Like if it's a planned time where we're kind of hanging out together and you guys are watching and I am streaming, but you're also working on your own thing, then it's like, you know, we can communicate and have conversations about non-quilting things, like we've been talking about horses and stuff, or dogs or reptiles or whatever, just wherever the conversation goes. It's more of like an office hours sort of live stream. But I can do a better job in the future of communicating and scheduling live streams so that people know, like, oh, during this live stream, this is what she's going to be covering. I want to be there for that, or I don't. And I think that will help as well too, because I definitely want to make sure that you all feel like I'm respecting your time and respecting the fact that I am asking you to hang out with me during a live stream or give me your attention in some way as part of like my YouTube monetization. So that's something that I know with time will get better and better as I get better at scheduling live streams and being more reliable about what it is I'm actually doing, you know, when we do the live stream. So a few, like the last few live streams that I've been doing with this quilt have been nice because just like Sandy said, ironing is boring, but the conversations are very lively. And I agree. I think like this has been a good example of that, where like maybe this live stream is not necessarily, okay, come and learn something and then leave. It's like we're hanging out together. Maybe it's 4 a.m. and you're laying in bed just because your mind can't shut down, or maybe you're actively working on the project with me, you know. And so I'm sure that scheduling the live streams will be really helpful in the future, because then when someone logs in to the live stream, they aren't like, okay, what are you actually doing? Like, is this fun or is this boring? Do I care? Do I not care? And so I totally get that. So thank you for that feedback, Celeste. I appreciate that. I think that's good. Yeah, and I would love to get to a point where it is more like open office hours, where like I'm live streaming, but maybe there's a question that you have about something quilting related, even though I'm not like doing that quilting thing, we can still talk about it while I'm doing this quilting thing. And that way my time is also kind of being respected, where I can show up and say like, okay, I have this knowledge or this wisdom or whatever that I want to share with the quilting community. And I can do that because it's done in a space where I have set aside the dedicated time and, you know, that sort of thing. So it's interesting though, like just seeing the different, like how different of a relationship I am building with my audience on YouTube versus the way it is on Instagram and Facebook. Like, and I don't know, it's evolving and it's changing all the time. And I think it's really good and just different. But I think the most valuable thing that I've learned so far is learning how to maintain flexibility and being able to course correct and adjust with each thing that I do. So I don't know, it's interesting. It's interesting being a freelance artist specializing in fabric education or like quilting education, you know. So, but I always appreciate the feedback. So thank you for that, Celeste. I like that a lot. Annette says, I'm enjoying the company as I quilt on a Dresden plate quilt. I can pay attention just listening and checking in occasionally. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Annette. I appreciate that. I would love to see your Dresden quilt. Also, I'll just throw this out there. I am most accessible back and forth by email usually. So if you ever have questions or something that needs to be brought to my attention, or I would love to see your quilting projects or your horses, you can always email me at info@karleeporter.com. And I manage my email account fairly religiously. Like I try really, really hard to not let emails go unanswered. Unless they're just like mean, then I just am like, whatever, girl, go heal and then come back and hang out. But for the most part, like, you know, if you have a concern or a question or something that you want to have a conversation about, I make it a point to prioritize my email inbox. And like, that's like my main business workflow of like keeping my business afloat is through that mode. So, so yeah, like if there's a live stream or a project that you would like to see, you know, you can always email me and let me know. Oh my gosh, I really, really love this fabric. I say this every time I flip this over. It's so pretty. I can scoot it so you can see it even a little bit better. Okay, so speaking of lively conversations, we were talking about this previously today. Andrew and I just went and saw that new Matt Damon movie called The Odyssey. Now, I have to say, I am not like well versed in philosophy or like ancient, like what would you even call it? Greek mythology, right? Greek mythology. Anyways, so we saw The Odyssey last night and I really liked it. For someone who, like, I wouldn't consider, like I said, I wouldn't consider myself like super knowledgeable in Greek text. So here's what I liked about the movie without spoiling the movie, which also, like, the story is like thousands of years old, so I couldn't like spoil the story. But what I liked about the movie is that even though it was covering a very ancient subject, I liked that I didn't feel like I needed captions to watch it. Like, I guess I assumed that with like a historically based movie like that, something that, you know, whatever, is deriving from history, it wouldn't have surprised me if they had accents of some sort, like either like Middle Eastern or even Greek accents, or even just like British. I feel like sometimes historical stuff, it's like, this might not have much to do with Britain, but like certain characters will have like a British accent and then others will have American accent. Anyways, what I appreciate about the movie is that not only were all of the dialects just like regular American English, but I feel like they really explained the movie in layman's terms. Like, their conversations with each other were very like modernized in the sense of like they just spoke in really plain terms. It wasn't like Shakespearean style terms. Like when they were having conversations, like one part where they're on a boat and they're just like, we can't do this. If we do this, this is going to happen. And then the other guy's like, I don't want that thing to happen. Instead of being like, that doth not happen. Like, I don't know. But anyways, so that's one thing I really liked about that movie. Also, it has a lot of incredible actors in it. So it has Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Zendaya, Charlize Theron, Anne Hathaway. I think Pedro Pascal is in it. Elliot Page. I don't know. It was good. I really liked it a lot. It was long. It was like 3 hours. But also I knew that going into it that it was long. So that made it fine. Like, I think when I don't like long movies is when it catches me by surprise and I'm like, how is this movie not over yet? Like, how is there still 45 minutes left, you know? But with that movie, it was like a legit 3 hours and really riveting and good. So I liked it. Anyways, have y'all watched any good movies recently? I would love to hear about them. Andrew and I have also been re-watching Malcolm in the Middle, a TV show from like the early 2000s. I think it actually started in the year 2000. So anyways, I watched Malcolm in the Middle as a kid growing up, but like we didn't like watch a ton of the reruns. I just had seen it like specific episodes as a kid. So it was kind of like I was watching it again for the first time. But yeah, Malcolm in the Middle has been really, really fun to watch because they just started a reboot of Malcolm in the Middle, and it has like all of the characters from the show from when it was running 20 years ago. So that's been really fun to watch too. All right, I'm on my last strip set, and then hopefully I can get to cutting these, which is the most fun part. Well, not the most fun part, but more fun than ironing. Andrew had to run to the Apple store to get his laptop fixed. And so I just figured I was going to keep live streaming until he got home. So we'll see how far I get, but he has been gone like an hour and a half. So yeah, but we're almost done with ironing. Yeah, ironing, not pressing. And then we will get to our cutting. Oh, okay, so Celeste, another thing that I was talking about, I can't remember which live stream it was, but it was one of the ones that has to do with this quilt. I was talking about how last time I made this quilt, I was doing like steps, little steps at a time, like where I was like making a whole one of these blocks and then starting again with the strip piecing. Like I was doing one strip at a time instead of doing all of the strip piecing and then all of the 45-degree cutting and then all of, you know, and so one reason that I am batching this quilt this way, even though like ironing is boring, right? This is not super fun to watch, but one reason I'm doing it this way is because the last time I made this quilt, because I was staggering steps, I think there was one point where honestly, either I cut something wrong or I pieced something with an inaccurate seam allowance, but all of a sudden I went to go lay out my diamond blocks to sew them together, and half of them were like 1.5 inches bigger than other ones, and I could not figure out where I went wrong. So the other reason that I'm doing this quilt this way, where I'm doing all of my strip ironing in one sitting, is so that I can prevent that from happening again, where hopefully all of the blocks for the entire quilt are being done the same steps all at the same time with each other, so that I don't accidentally do something incorrectly with just a few of them. I can make sure that I do them all correctly, and then while my brain is in the headspace of doing them the right way, I do them and get them done. So that was another reason for having kind of a boring section of ironing that is not as fun to watch. But yeah, but we're almost done, and then it's going to be cutting and collating and then piecing, and we can do all of that before we have to do ironing again, where I just iron each of the blocks. So yeah. Okay, so the other thing that's cool about doing live streams this way is that all of this video footage that I'm doing here live for you, I am also recording onto my computer, like saving it straight to my computer, which means that I can go back and pull footage from these videos and edit it into a shorter, more concise video that isn't live streamed, but kind of gives you all of the information, all the pertinent information from the live streams. Like all of this ironing, I can edit it in iMovie and like speed it up so that the entire process of making this quilt from start to finish is, I don't know, you know, like maybe an hour-long video where it goes to regular speed to explain what I'm doing, but then can speed up for all of these repetitive sections or the conversation that doesn't have to do with the actual quilt. So that's another kind of nice aspect of doing it this way, is being able to repurpose that footage. But I have all of the footage because I recorded every single step of the process. Okay, so we have all of our strips done. So let me turn off my iron, move that out of the way so I don't burn myself. I'm gonna slide this down and move my cutting table. Alrighty, so now let's go to the overhead, and I'm going to zoom out here so you can see more clearly. Okay, hang on, that's kind of bugging me. There we go. All right, so now we have each of our strips here, and I need to make sure that every single strip, I cut them the exact same way. So let's think about this really quick. So if I have the dark on bottom, okay, so see how the way that I piece these makes sense, that my 45-degree angle is going to be this way, right? And not this way. Okay, so if I look at these, so similar to this, but obviously bigger, but see how I've got my darks, my mediums, and my lights, my 45-degree going that way. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do that I think would be smart is we don't need to find on our cutting mat like a specific number, but we do need to make sure that our 45-degree cut is actually a good, accurate 45 degrees. This is the scariest part, by the way, of this whole project, is just cutting these, because once they're cut, right? And I knew how to cut a 4-inch strip easily and well, but this I just have to be more careful of. Okay, so now on my ruler, you know what? I'm gonna get some painter's tape just so that I can be extra careful and accurate. I'm gonna take a piece of painter's tape. Oh, okay, wait, hold up. There's even more that I need to do. One thing, last time I made this quilt that I worried about something shifting is because on the end of my table, see how the rest of my strip is hanging off, and that's pulling. I don't want that to happen either. So the other thing that I need to do here is I need to start from this end and have all of my fabrics always sitting on the table and not hanging off the edge of anything, so that I know for sure that my fabric is just laying flat and it's not getting pulled. Okay, so then if I cut 45 degrees this way, that means I'm going to be using this line. So that's what I want to line up. So I'm just going to put tape just so that I'm going to put it like just below that line so I can see that line. But it just reminds me, there's my 45-inch on my ruler. Okay, so now I also want to line up my fabric with the straight edge of my cutting mat. Okay, so 4, 8, 12 minus 3/4 of an inch means I should have 11 1/4 inch wide strips. So if I measure this, oh, 10 3/4. Is that right? I mean, it's got to be, right? Okay. And I'm not using a pattern for this, so that's why I'm just being extra super careful. Oh, hi Kim, it's good to see you. Goat quilter, I'm hand quilting and watching. Awesome. We got the same hairdo going. Oh yeah, messy bun. Messy hair, don't care. Okay, so let's see. So I'm just choosing a straight line here to line this up, just so that I know that my strips are square. Okay. Okay, and then I have my 45-degree marked. So if I line up my bottom strip with this line right here that says 45, like that, not the tape, but the actual line. In fact, why don't I just do that? Why don't I? Well, I wanted to be able to see behind. So actually, I'm going to leave it that way. Okay, so now anytime I cut a strip, it needs to be on the 45-inch line. Okay, so for this first one here, I'm going to try to cut off the least amount as possible. Like so. Okay, so what's going to be even better to do this is, instead of lining up my top edge, I'm going to line up my bottom edge with fabric. Okay, now here's the other thing that I'm thinking about right now. When I cut my 45-degree, then I need to cut 4-inch strips, but it actually would make more sense for me to do it this way on this edge where I'm using the 4 inches. So this is like the key part, is setting up my fabric in a way, because if I do it this way, like this, then when I need 4 more inches, I'm going to line up my 4 inches with here, and then I'm going to have to cut left-handed, or I'm going to have to hold it like this, which I could do. I could go Kendall Jenner style and cut it. I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world, just for the orientation of my whole setup, especially with my camera, making it easy for you to see. Okay, so I'm going to line up my 45-degree like this, and then I'm going to slide it as far as I can until I run out of fabric. So see how I'm getting close here? I'm getting close there. So I'm going to start as far back as I can, like that. So now this will be my waist. Okay, so I'm lining up my 45-degree. Okay, here we go. All right. So now, because my strips of fabric were 4 inches, I'm going to cut my strips this way 4 inches. So I could also do another piece of tape on my 4-inch mark, like so. So I don't accidentally cut 3 and I don't accidentally cut 5. And I'm just drawing some arrows. So that it's this side that we're lining up with. Okay, so now 4 inches. So see how here's my 45-degree line and then my 4-inch line. So that's what I need to line up with. Like that. So basically this point here, and then, okay, so I'm going to readjust my tape a little bit to be exactly on that 45-degree line. Okay, and then this, where the 45 meets the 4-inch mark. Okay, so that's the angle of my strips. So I'm going to line up that point with that point, like so. And then I also am going to look down here to here. Whoops, did it crooked. Like that. Okay, so that's just the extension of my 4-inch line. So corner, corner. Okay, here we go. So this is our first. Why does that feel wide? No, it's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Right? It'll be fine. Okay. Here's the thing, you guys. I just, okay, couple of things. I just heard my husband get home. Also, I'm scared to cut this. I need to do more research just to make sure, for sure, 1000% that I'm supposed to do the same measurement for my 45-degree angles as what I did for my strips. So we've been live streaming for an hour and 45 minutes plus the 30 minutes that we did before it crashed. And I would be so embarrassed if I cut this and my markings were not right. So I'm like feeling pressure to be on camera right now and like do this math on camera. So we're gonna take a break, but when I go to cut this, it will be the first thing I do on my next live stream and we will do it together. So don't hate me for leaving you on a total cliffhanger, but it's going to be so good. The next live stream is going to be way more exciting than this one now that the ironing is done. So it's going to be good. But yeah, I'm going to just do a little more research just to double verify, but also it's Sunday afternoon. I'm going to spend some time with my family and I can feel my body telling me to take a break, take a mental break so that I don't do it. Okay. So Karen says, just breathe. You got this. No worries. We'll be here. Okay. All right. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching. If you feel like leaving a tip, I now have the super chat feature installed on my channel, which is so cool. So if you feel like leaving a tip, that's awesome. Obviously, no obligation, no pressure. Just know that it's appreciated. So yeah, I'm going to go and swim and enjoy outside and take a shower, and hopefully next time I live stream, maybe tomorrow morning, my hair will not be so messy hair, don't care. But okay, I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. If you are watching the replay, I'd still love for you to leave comments about the conversation we've talked about, because I'll be able to see those and come back to those. So that'll be fun. But yeah, you guys are awesome. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy quilting. Okay, see you later.